football. It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so I've done these videos numerous times over the years when Ring Magazine's pound for pound #1 changes, and we will continue that tradition here on True School Sports because the verdict is in, and you have a new Ring Magazine #1 pound for pound king. And he comes from Omaha, Nebraska in the form of Terence Crawford. Yes, Terence Crawford has officially been rated the Ring Magazine pound #1 fighter in the world. So, to that I say I have no problem with that because, you know, as much as I've been an advocate for the monster, Naoya Inoue, you know, covering him more than any American content creator in this space, Terence Crawford was very impressive against Errol Spence. It was one of the all-time great performances. It was one of the all-time great demolition jobs pay-per-view. And he turned what many people thought was going to be, you know, Leonard versus Hearns into Mayweather versus Gotti, you know, the 2023 version. So that deserves a lot of credit. Now, as far as pound for pound goes, I feel like, you know, when you look at the Ring Magazine pound for pound list, if we just go read through it, you know, you got Crawford at 1, no problem there. Inoue at 2, no problem there. Usyk at 3, no problem there. I feel like that top 3 right there, you could change them up any way you want, and I wouldn't have a problem. I think those 3 fighters right there are all doing and making their case be known for why they are the best fighter in boxing. But at the end of the day, pound for pound is a subjective list, and you know, as you can see, it's very subjective on Ring Magazine. They got Canelo 4. They got Canelo over Bivol, but how does that work when, you know, Bivol exposed Canelo? How does that work? He gave Canelo a boxing lesson. Bivol got 8 title defenses. Bivol went on to take Gilberto Soto Ramirez's right after he beat Canelo. So I don't get how he's 5, but you know, it is what it is. And I want to cut it off there. I don't want to really go deeper into the pound for pound list because they got a lot of things I don't agree with. But Terence Crawford definitely deserves his pound for pound #1 ranking. Personally, for me, I have Inoue and Crawford as my joint #1. They could be 1A and 1B. I'm not mad at whoever you have #1 because when you look at what both fighters have done, both fighters won their first world title in 2014. Both fighters have damn near the identical amount of world title fights. I believe Crawford has 18 world title fights. Naoya Inoue, I think, is pushing 20 world title fights. So they're identical damn near all the way across the board. Crawford is a 2-division undisputed champion. If Naoya Inoue fights Marlon Tapales next, maybe he's looking at becoming 2-time undisputed by the end of the year. So they might both wind up, we might, by the end of this year, have not 1 but 2 fighters who are both, you know, 2-division undisputed champions. What an unprecedented thing for the sport of boxing to have 2 fighters performing at such a great high level for such a long amount of time. I'll say this, right? You know, just to give my little thoughts on pound for pound and Crawford in a way, right? I'm not mad at Crawford. You could have Crawford #1. I think Crawford's a damn good fighter. He deserves every bit to be up there. Tip of the cap goes to him. But my thing is this: before Crawford and Spence and Inoue fought and fought, I personally had Stephen Foote above Errol Spence on the pound for pound list. In fact, I didn't even have Errol Spence on the pound for pound list because I just feel like, with the amount of inactivity he's had and the lack of dominant performances over the last 3 years, you know, he had the Ugas fight, which was a great performance, but I'm saying when you compare it to what a lot of other fighters doing in boxing, like, for example, one guy who's not anywhere on the Ring Magazine list that I think is better than Errol Spence and above Errol Spence, that should be above Errol, is Artur Beterbiev, because he's done the same thing Errol Spence did, 3 belts, unified champion, but he has 100% knockout ratio, and I think he'd be better fighters along the way than Errol Spence did. But that's just my subjective opinion. I think Stephen Foote, for me, I had him higher pound for pound because #1, he had, I think, beaten better fighters over the last couple of years than Errol Spence. He had gone probably the hardest road of any PBC fighter, fighting so many undefeated fighters, you know, really tough undefeated champions. And on top of that, he was the fresher fighter. You know, Stephen Foote wasn't a guy out here, you know, who was, you know, drinking alcohol, getting caught up in the club or anything like that. He was the fresher fighter of the two. So I just, for those reasons, along with the resumes, along with what he's been doing in recent years, I had Stephen 4-1 above Errol Spence. But that's just me. I'm not going to take it away from Crawford. The reality is Crawford still did his damn thing. Like, I mean, I always thought this fight was a mismatch, but generally speaking, right, from the general consensus of boxing fans, writers, pundits, experts, this was looked at to be a 50-50 fight, and Terence Crawford beat the brakes off Errol Spence. So obviously Terence deserves credit for that, because when you get thrusted into a fight that's had this much animosity and build-up and so many things going on over the years, and you perform that way, you definitely deserve credit and consideration, and he deserves every bit of credit he's getting. So when I think about this pound debate of like Crawford and Inoue, it really takes me back to, I believe it was 1983 or 82, I can't remember the year, but it was somewhere in the early 80s. There was a year where Ring Magazine gave pound for pound #1 honors, or no, not pound for pound #1, but Fighter of the Year honors to both Sugar Ray Leonard and Salvador Sanchez, right? I feel like 2023 has become, what was it? Let me see, 1983. Let me see. I'm gonna fact check myself while I'm talking to you, but I feel like right now we're in the early 80s. You know, we're in the early 80s. You got a dominant welterweight champion in Terence Crawford, much like Sugar Ray Leonard. He's earned his spot on the pound for pound, you know, throne. Naoya Inoue, much like one of the great little men of yesteryear, much just like Salvador Sanchez. And by the way, it was for 1982. So 1982, March 1982 was the cover. Salvador Sanchez and Ray Leonard were both awarded Fighter of the Year for 81, not for 1981. So yeah, I think right now we're in 1981. You know, Terence Crawford is our modern day Sugar Ray Leonard. As crazy as that may sound to some of you old heads out there. Naoya Inoue, he is our Salvador Sanchez. You know, I think these guys right now, they're carving the kind of legacy that, you know, you have to sit back and enjoy. And the great thing about it is, you know, neither one of these guys are anywhere around the same weight class, so they're not gonna fight each other. So all we can do is sit down, shut up, and enjoy the ride. And if Ring Magazine wants to give Terence Crawford the number one pound for pound throne for the time being, then fair play to him, because we know Terence Crawford has been shunned. We know he's been overlooked for a long time. We've had to hear people say that Errol Spence was better than him on the same level, and those of us who really know boxing knows that wasn't the case. It was never the case. Car crash or pre-car crash or post-car crash, it was never the case. And that's just what it is. So, you know, congratulations to Terence Crawford. I'm happy he's getting his just due. I'm happy that, you know, he's become more of a mainstream star in America, because one thing about Terence Crawford, when he fights, it's must-see TV. You know, it's definitely, you know, and this goes all the way back to the HBO days. I remember trying to invite friends over back in 2015, 2016. Back when Crawford was fighting the Thomas Delorme's of the world, trying to tell everybody about this young, champion from Nebraska. And now I think he's starting to transcend this into something a bit more than that. And he's starting to, much like a Marvin Hagler in a way, get the attention, get the notoriety, and get his due in the final, you know, chapters, in the final, the final chapters of his career. So that's the news. Terence Crawford is your Ring Magazine #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, above Naoya Inoue. I ain't mad at that. Fair play to you. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys rank Crawford pound for pound #1, or do you have Naoya Inoue, or maybe are you taking the more, you know, diplomatic approach like me? I feel like both of them are so great. They both have similar accolades. They've both been champion from the same amount of time. They've both been fighting on the same amount of level for the same amount of time. They both have damn near identical world title fights. So for me, it's kind of hard. They both made it very hard for me to pick a clear-cut pound for pound #1. But I'm not mad if you got Crawford #1. I'm not mad if you got Inoue #1. I think they're both great fighters, and they both deserve every last bit of respect they're getting for how they performed in what today is the biggest fights of their career. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kid from Daniel. So until next time, take your ass. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. We're here at the Hatanaka Boxing Gym in Nagoya, Japan. And for more great videos just like this one, make sure you guys click right here.